this video, we're going to repeat the same process over and over again, so you'll see how easy it is to install the ice and water shield. On this example in the videos, we'll show a couple different homes, and we're installing the ice and water shield on the eaves for particular locations for snow loads. We don't do that in every location. It depends on code here. Right now on the ice and water shield, you can see the backing of the ice and water shield. It's like a, if you will, it's a plastic wrap or like a saran wrap. And it comes midway, 2 strips on the back side. And as on this illustration, here's one way you can do it. We'll show you a couple different ways. We're rolling this out all the way. And it has a bottom and top strip on the saran wrap on the underside of the ice and water shield. And the ice and water shield is a modified bitumen. It is a self-adhering membrane. Here we go. We're removing the one strip of that plastic wrap or the saran wrap that's on there. In order for the manufacturer to ship this product, they have to use this cellophane-like product underneath, so when they roll up this product, it doesn't stick together. Okay, here we go. Here's another example. You can see that we've already removed the top strip. I'll show you in a moment how we did that. We're nailing this down, but we have the bottom strip on the underside that still needs to be removed on the ice and water shield. We're getting ready to pull this off, and if you do it at the right angle like we're doing, then it works out well. If you do it at anything more than an 80 or 90 degree angle, it will end up tearing the ice and water shield, and we don't want to do that. All right, so here we go. We're working with this next piece right here. We're rolling it out, and that's the second course on the top, and that was needed for the code over here in the area. Now let's look at this. So on this one we have the strip on the bottom that still needs to be removed. I have yet to show you on the top strip on the underside of the ice and water shield how to do that. That'll show up here in just a moment. And we'll take a look at that so you'll know how to do that. Here you go. Now we're going to reveal to you how to do this. Now, when you're rolling it out for ease of use, if you look at this ice and water shield, watch what we're doing. You can see both layers of the, if you will, the plastic wrap on the underside of the ice and water shield. Now, here you go. This is the better way to do it. Let's come back around, take a look at that. This is what we think is the best way to do it, especially on the second course, and it makes it really easy to do that. Now, bear in mind that if it's really hot outside and you unroll it, then it's that self-adhering membrane on the ice and water shield is very tacky and it begins to stick immediately. So make sure that when you roll it out that you're keeping it straight, and that way you don't have any issues with that, because when you begin to try to reset it, it can be very difficult to do in really hot sunny weather. So that was that particular course, the underside. That was the first piece. Here's the second piece again, removing the ice and water shield on the underside one more time. Now, once you do this, you see a couple of buckles in the ice and water shield. Well, that's pretty easy. Go ahead and just pick it up. You cannot let it sit there for long, because you will not be able to pick it up and correct that. But if you do that soon, you're able to fix that so there's no issues. So we're going to pick this up. There you go. We pulled that bubble out of there. Now we're good. All right, so that's an easy way to handle the situation. Now we'll look at it again, cutting the ice and water shield, cutting on the back side of the top side using the hook blade. Now we're running this around a chimney, and so we're working our courses up. So you'll run this course here. Here we go, removing both pieces. That's that one piece. Now you need to remove the bottom piece. And now here's the valley piece for behind the chimney on the cricket. And so same way, you're just gonna sit it in there, gonna reposition the ice and water shield up against there. You're gonna cut it to fit. And then now you're gonna remove the backing. You're going to remove that plastic wrap or saran wrap on the back side of the ice and water shield. so you can put it in place. And that's how you need to handle that piece right there. And make sure you always remove the back piece, the plastic piece on the back side. Otherwise, the ice and water shield is not going to stick. In this particular case, it's the blue plastic. And so you remove the blue plastic on both sides, slide it into place as needed. In this particular case, we remove the blue plastic on the underside on the one side of the ice and water shield. Now we'll come back and remove the second piece. So it's a systematic process, not complicated. You don't have to think much about the ice and water shield, but for a lot of people it's just a little bit difficult to understand how to do it and how to do it smoothly. You feel free to watch the video multiple times to get a better understanding in case you're having an issue with it. So that way you can see how we're doing it, because it's just really a smooth process. Here we're going to slide the ice and water shield underneath of the 4x5 flashing, and then it's going to go on directly on top of the decking, and then it will overlap the synthetic underlayment. On this particular install, we'll either come back if we can and put step flashing in there still, but if we're unable to get step flashing behind the stucco, then what we'll have to do is we'll end up having to embed the shingles into some tar on that. But you can see here, this is a natural course, a water course, for that water to shed off on an ice and water shield and then on top of the synthetic underlayment. You do it that way, you won't have any leaks. But nevertheless, we would still come back if we can, and in the area of the 4x5 flashing, if possible, we will be installing, again, one more time, we will be installing the step flashing. If not, we will embed the shingles into a bed of tar that we're going to put tar, some plastic cement on top of that 4x5 flashing, and so that way there's no chance of water getting into this area. There you have it, the simple illustration of some ice and water shield being installed on this home or a couple of homes, and later on we'll show you some more applications of ice and water shield. Subscribe to our YouTube videos to learn more about roofing. I want to give a little bit further explanation on what we're doing here. We are resituating or situating the ice and water shield for this overlapping the two different rows of ice and water shield, one below and this one's going above, and then we have a side lap. Now here's what I want to focus on pulling this paper off the top part of the row, walking it out, and then walking it all the way to the very end of this row until you get to the place where you want to pull it tight and set it down on the deck. So here we go. We're going to pull it tight, and after we pull it tight, we'll reposition this course on the deck as needed to make sure it's straight. Now let's look at the final video in slow motion so you can get a better idea of how to do this. All right, good luck with installing the ice and water shield. Hope these installation instructions will help your roof be prepared for the next storm.